He was a really good mentor for me, pre-med and research-wise. I also had the chance to have a variety of clinical experiences. Right here on my left, I got the opportunity to shadow Dr. Genevieve, also known as Dr. Boom Boom Pow. Thank you, Chizicherry, for putting me on. We got to see him. He's a plastic surgeon. We got to see 2 breast implants, and it was a really cool experience. I don't think that plastic surgery would be for me, but I'm really excited to shadow a bunch of different specialties. I also got the chance to lead a clinical skills workshop. So earlier in this year, Pre-Med Society held a workshop just teaching anyone who was kind of new to the clinical environment how to do things like take vitals, listen to the heart and lungs, take blood pressure. And I was lucky to be one of the guides and help with all those learning experiences. And I also had the opportunity, thanks to the Top Scholar Program, to meet Dr. Ronald DePino, who was the former president of MD Anderson. It was really cool to listen to his insight on how he got into cancer research and how he had his tragic story with his father. It was something I could kind of resonate with. And it was also really cool to see the direction he thought that medicine was going in and how he thought the brain was the future of medicine, which is something I can agree with for sure. The last knowledge portion of my presentation is being an undergraduate teaching assistant. So I did this my sophomore year, but I feel like I really took it a step up this year for Gen Chem. So in my freshman year, I did it just for the spring, and we kind of just held sessions like a normal TA kind of would. But I met with Dr. Armand a lot during the summer, and he told me how we wanted to try to focus on the students who were struggling the most, because that's kind of where, and not just the students who were struggling, but the students who were putting in effort and still weren't getting results. So I decided to host a bunch of one-on-ones because I think that sessions are helpful, but at least for me as well, I think one-on-one attention is easily the most helpful. So I'm gonna flex these 3 students. I can't name drop them, but I have one from Armand, one from Doherty, one from Arthur. Their first exam score, they failed. Okay, the foundation exam was after the first week of college, and then the first exam followed basically right after that. So they had a failing grade in the class, and then they were going up to the second exam for Gen Chem, which is notoriously the hardest one. It's thermochemistry. And I reached out to them, and luckily they responded to me. So we started meeting one-on-one. And I'm proud to say that all 3 of these students on the hardest exam of the year got above the class average and passed. So now we're shooting for a B for the Armand and Doherty, and then an A for the Arthur student for the 3rd exam before the final. The second part of my journey this year was leadership. I thought about steering the ship. So this year, taking the wheel with purpose, I began guiding not just my own course, but charting a path that others could follow. My first leadership portion talks about leadership in engineering. So this year for Nucleate, I served as the communications lead. We are actually having our first demo day next week. So that's something that we've been working on for basically almost 2 years. So really excited to see that happen. And I've also been working with HQ from Canada to bring Dojo Explore, which is just a program that helps undergraduate students break into research and bring it to San Antonio. Additionally, for the Biomedical Engineering Society, or I'll refer to it as BMES later in the presentation, I was the vice president external this semester, so I worked on doing things like any industry related things. So bringing people from biotech companies like Biomed SA to come speak at meetings and go on industry tours and things like that. Most notably, I led the planning for the 12th annual BMES AE Research Symposium. So this research symposium has just been BMES in the past, but this year we decided we wanted to team up and pair with the American Institute of Chemical Engineers. And this was my first time having an experience planning a really, really large event, and it taught me a lot of things. So as you can see down here, we have a ton of folders. Those are all filled up. It's just covered by the bar. And it was really stressful at first, but I learned about outreach. So just reaching out to, we probably sent hundreds of emails, professors, people from industry. It was important to do that early just so they could accommodate their schedule. And participation, we also wanted to make sure we got a good amount of participants. Luckily, our new partnership with AP helped us get a few more participants, so it was pretty good. And also delegating work, you can see right in the middle, I had to make a list that was delegating tasks to each officer. They were willing to help out, which is a super important part of working in a team. And high pressure, the day of the symposium, we had about 6 judges cancel, no show, or show up in the wrong time slot. So that's 6 judges, 4 abstracts each judge. That's 24 abstracts that we had to redistribute in basically 5 minutes. So all the judging could get done within the time frame. It taught me a lot about compromise, just doing things on the fly, but luckily the event went really well and I'm glad to have the experience. Leadership, clinical leadership. So this year I served as the volunteer coordinator for the Pre-Medical Society. We averaged about 4 volunteer events a week and it was a great experience. I like talking to the members. I mostly led things like signups for Corazon. We had to do planning for events, making those interest forms, signing members up, providing carpool, things like that. And in 2025 and 2026, I'll be serving as the vice president for Pre-Medical Society. Please don't spoil it because I'm not supposed to say it. Thank you, Terry. And mentorship. So this year I was blessed to be the big for Owen. I was a little for Jose last year, and it's cool to switch spots. I taught Owen about my experiences in my short time at UTSA, but he also taught me a lot. And I also served as a mentor for people in the Pre-Med Society, just about courses, classes, things like that I've already taken. And I've also been a mentee for a ton of upperclassmen, Emily, even Bethany and Zena, who were in my grade, and things like that. And especially Audie, who I know is on the Zoom right now, and I know you can hear me, Audie, but you gave me a ton of advice. And she also invited me to that Pathway to Medical School seminar, which was super, super insightful. And I think it gave me some guidance on how the direction I want to go for my personal statement. And my last pillar and last part of my journey was anchored in purpose, service. So service this year just really reminded me what I'm doing everything for, the interaction, the people, and why I think this career is for me. This year, I was lucky to be a team lead at Corazon Clinic, so that's my training. Here's a ton of pictures of me at clinic, Jonah and the top, so at the top right. But I really enjoyed Corazon Clinic last year. I had about 30 hours of volunteering at Corazon, and I was just learning. It was a really cool clinical experience, and I think that the best part for me at Corazon was not only the patient interaction, but connecting what I've learned at UTSA with the clinical setting. So whenever I have a team now at Corazon, I always bring up PPIs, so proton pump inhibitors, because when I took Gen Chem 2 and I learned about protons and acidity, and I learned about proton pump inhibitors making like omeprazole, helping with GERD. I thought it was super interesting because it really connected something I learned in college to a clinical environment. I always mention that, and then a little acronym, apartment M, for the valves of the heart. And it's a really good experience overall. Oh, actually back to this real quick. So I had 30 hours my freshman year and I've jumped to almost 200. Valentine's card making event for Christus Children's Hospital. So this was something I organized between the Pre-Med Society and a local hospital. I'm really grateful, and this reminded me why I'm so grateful, especially for the program. It gives me really good connections. Maddie helped me organize this. Pre-Med Society wanted to do a social and volunteer event where we were making cards, but we needed a hospital somewhere local to donate, and Maddie was glad to help me out, and I was really appreciative. And then here are some of my non-clinical volunteering events. So taking it to the streets, the Down Syndrome Association of South Texas, Cibolo Gardens, Adopt a Spot, Texas Diaper Bank, the Whataburger Resource Room, Special Reach, and more. I really, really adore all these events. It helps me kind of take a break from the medicine portion of my life and just focus on serving the community. Probably my favorites from this list would have to be taking it to the streets. I really enjoy it. It's a really nice environment, and it's also religion focused. So I really enjoy it. And this was probably my most impactful volunteering of the year. So if you don't know, I'm a former Make-A-Wish kid, and it's not that former. It was basically like 2 years ago, and I really enjoyed it. It took my mind off of my battle with cancer, and it was one of the most impactful things that ever happened to me. And luckily, this year I was given the chance to become a wish granter for Make-A-Wish. So I've granted 3 wishes. Two of them were Disney World related, and then one was camping related. And there are some pictures from our encounters. It was super happy, and whenever I have a rough day, it really makes, it just makes my life better, and it's really fulfilling. So I'm glad to give back to Make-A-Wish. And the last portion of my end of year is the treasure on my journey. These were little gems through my year that helped me de-stress. The first being live orchestra and concerts. So if you don't know, I'm a really, really big fan of music scores, live orchestra, things like that. I was in band in high school. This right here is Harry Potter live orchestra, the 3rd Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban. I really love that one. It's right behind Order of the Phoenix for me. I got to see that live in concert. Music was phenomenal. This is Avatar live in concert, and I loved Avatar, the show, the animated show. I got to see that actually here in San Antonio. And this is Patrick, who I just saw randomly sitting on the second, he was like on the balcony above me, and I kept waving at him, but he didn't see me. This third picture is Hans Zimmer live. So if you don't know who Hans Zimmer is, he wrote the music for Lion King, Interstellar, Inception, Dune 2. So he wrote all this music, and it was phenomenal. Oh, The Dark Knight and Gladiator, so much more. I got to go to Austin and see him perform a bunch of his scores. My favorite is always The Lion King, and I can fight you for anything. It's The Lion King over any of his other music, including Interstellar. But I really do love Hans Zimmer, and I was grateful for that opportunity. And last is on the right, that's not a live orchestra, but that's a concert. That's Bruno Mars in Vegas. I'm a huge Bruno Mars fan. He played all his music. He played Die With A Smile. He played the new song with Rose. He played literally everything. My favorite song is When I Was Your Man, the one from Twilight, which I'm so sad that I don't remember, and the rest are tied, but I really love Bruno Mars. Second was fishing, so I'm a big fisherman. That picture is when I was little. That really got me hooked. That is a king mackerel, if you don't know. It's delicious, has a lot of mercury, but really delicious. And this year I had the chance to catch a ton of fish. This is one of my best redfish I've caught. It was super big. It was 28 inches, so not my personal best, but getting there. This is a bass 3-pounder, really good catch back in Houston. That was a few weeks ago. I went fishing with Emily, Audie, and our other friend Savannah, and that's at our property. And then lastly is this slide. I originally titled it Friends, but at this point, I think it's safe to say we're all family. And this is definitely the most important part of my year, just being able to talk with everybody. I love being social, and just having all these support systems made my life significantly better at all points. And my future plans this summer, I'm going to be doing a study abroad in Peru for medicine community. I'm taking a medical anthropology and medical Spanish class. We're going to do a lot of hiking. I already got all my gear, my boots, my sleeping bag, and everything. I'm really excited. I just got to brush up on my Spanish a little bit. And then after, I plan on studying for the MCAT and doing some shadowing. Aside from that, that's all I have. Do you have any questions? And thank you.
Collin, I love how you formatted your slides. I think it was very intentional. I think the way that you formatted it is very I just appreciate the way that you really captured your year at a glance. And so I just want to say, congratulations on a very successful year. You're doing a lot of things, which I'm very, very impressed. I notated here, I'm so jealous about Bruno. You know, glad that you were able to see him in Vegas during his residency. I know we talked about it in our one-to-one, but man, I'm jealous. But two things for you to take on with you going to your junior year. One is mentorship, right? I'm glad that you are connecting with the people in your cohort, people above you, with Owen as well, but really lean into that. And you're gonna be an upperclassman next year. People are gonna be looking towards you and share the wealth of knowledge that you have with them.
Absolutely.
And so just really proud of you, continue doing great things, and good luck to you in studying with the MCAT. And also I'm excited to hear about your trip in Peru.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So yeah, to sort of build on what Fernando had said, I loved seeing the emphasis on mentorship. I loved seeing that real world example of those three specific students from your TA experience and building them up to accomplish more, and contributing to that sense of community in a UTSA context. What worked well for those students and what maybe didn't work so well? Is there anything you can kind of point to as to lessons learned from?
Absolutely. So in my one-on-ones, the first thing I do when I meet with someone is I just ask them to set a target goal for their exam. So I'll talk about the student from Dr. Armand's class. We met, I introduced myself, and then I said, I asked them about their history in the class. I can already see their grade, but I asked anyways. And I asked them to set a target score for their exam, which was something important because I think that having a goal to reach makes that journey like that much easier. And then it was mostly going over things that they didn't understand in class. So whenever the Gen Chem students have class, for example, Dr. Armand, it's pretty quiz heavy at first. So they would bring any questions they had from any of the quizzes. I would help them review that, and then I also made some practice material for them on the side because for Gen Chem practice questions are pretty important. So it's those two things specifically, but just meeting them with them on a consistent basis, I think reinforces all that knowledge. So that was like the most important part easily.
Cool.
And then what didn't work, I'd say, so I had a student who did meet with me, and this kind of goes with the last thing. I had a student who met with me once and then they waited like 3 weeks and then met with me again. They weren't as successful, but it's just because we weren't meeting as consistently as we could be. So I think consistency and practice questions is really the key.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'll just follow up and finally say, you know, I hope you have a great summer in Peru. I hope it's as magical to you as it was to me, as it has been to so many people that I know that have gone.
I'm very excited. Very excited.
Good job.
I just wanted to say something. I know that like throughout like the entire year, you're kind of like always worried about like not doing enough, but that was so much. You've done amazing things this year. So I just want to like remind you that you're doing enough, and that's because
I appreciate it.
I just wanted to say congratulations on a very successful year. I was not sure how I felt about going to school with a younger brother. I was here for 2 years by myself and I was doing pretty okay. So I was like, okay, might have somebody tagging along with me all the time on butt end, but it's cool. I enjoyed having you here, just like alongside me way more than I ever thought I could. Except for the part where you come and take my food, like every week. I really don't appreciate that part. And I wish it would stop, by the way, but it's okay. You know, I am proud of you for everything that you've done, but I'm more proud of, you know, the person that you have become and, you know, the things that you hold true to yourself in the way that you just are a light for a lot of people in the world. You won't hear it from me again, so hear it now. You are a light for me. And I'm sad to leave you as I go, but I wish you nothing but the greatest success, and I know that you will do anything that you want to.
Thank you. All right. If that's it, thank you everybody for
I wanted to say something real quickly, sorry.
Looks like Ani wants to say something.
I just want to echo what Beth had said, that you always stress out about not having done much, but it's very clear that you've done so much this year. I don't think there's any TA that puts in as much effort as you do to your students, and I barely met anyone who's volunteered as much as you do. I really look up to you for how hardworking you are, and I'm very excited to see what you're going to be doing next year. Thank you for like always supporting me this year, and just want to let you know that med schools are going to be fighting over you next year. So I'm excited to see your journey.
Thank you, Audie. You were a really great mentor for me, and I'm sure that'll continue next year as well. I really appreciate it.
So, all right, good job, Colin.